this guy, man. Al Green is underrated, man. They talk about Marvin Gaye, they talk about all the other guys, but they never talk about Al Green. Preaching too, right? It sounds like one when he sings. He still does his thing. I love when I see older people do that. You know who's underrated? George Benson, man. I was listening to George Benson last night, man. I was like, wow, he was fantastic, and he's still alive
That was
too.
the jazz guitar. Then he went to vocals.
Yeah, but he does everything. Like Grover, remember Grover Washington back in the day?
I think he had.
Just the two of us.
Actually, that wasn't him singing. That was Bill Whitman.
Oh, it was Bill. Oh, that's
So they
right.
did
But
that.
he's there. All right.
Grover got the credit.
Yeah, he was bigger
It was
than.
his album.
So we're on after this song, right?
Yes. About a minute and 27 seconds.
All right. You know how it goes.
You ever heard of Leon Bridges? He's in that same kind of vein, but he's a newer artist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was
I'll check that out. Let me write that down. I like old school artists. I don't like new stuff that much.
Yeah, I think you would like him. He has like that old school kind of feel.
You have a pen over there? Huh? He usually carry a pen, but I didn't today. You have a pen over there? Everything's already written. There's one. Let me use that right there. Thank you. I'll trade it. Because I might play it one day if I like it. I usually like to play unknown guys that are like, well, whatever. I can play whatever I want. It's a radio station. All right. Most of the monologue is written. It's all good, but I have parts that's not. I just find that you have to have some kind of outline to fall back on. Oh, you can go Afro too, huh?
I had to cut it down.
I had a lot of my friends was like, "Oh, we're so jealous. We can't even get a hairline." I figured I'd do it one last time. Right?
Wasted energy.
Said the man with no hair. Everything still works. Things have a way of going out. Power's up. All that good.
You see how it jump on.
Let's go in.
10 seconds.
All right.
Listening to WKNB 1480 AM, Windsor, Hartford.
All right. Tell me, give me some volume.
This is the Jamal Show. Jamal.
All right, I hear my name being called. I think that I have to come in from the bathroom now. Okay, so that's right. Greetings, my friends. 20 seconds. Welcome to yet another glorious celebration of life in the form of what we call the Jamal Show, the place to get intelligent. My name is Jamal, and I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm very happy to be here. And I'm not just talking about on the radio. I'm not just happy to be on the radio, even though that's part of my happiness. I'm saying that I'm very happy to be here in life, as you should be. Because not everybody gets to exist right now. That's the truth. You need to appreciate that. And you know what? I can appreciate that it's not always fun to exist. Things don't always go your way. But as for myself, I'll take life even with all the ups and downs, the broken promises, the heartbreak, the disappointments, and yes, the failures. And today I'm taking the chance to speak specifically about failure because it's very important to me. I know failure up close and personal. Failure is one of the few things in life that I consider myself an expert in, and that's because I'm a risk taker. When you're a risk taker, you tend to fail more than others who just play it safe all the time. So as the result of being a risk taker, I view failure as a long-lost brother destined to pay me a visit again sometime in the future. I failed in a variety of ways too numerous to mention. And as bad as this sounds, I do look forward to failing again one day. Now, allow me to admit, that sounds weird. I'll admit that. I told that to an older lady friend of mine a few weeks ago. I said, look, I look forward to some more failure. And she thought I was depressed. She was like, don't say that about yourself, young man. But I'm not depressed. I'm ready for failure. Being ready for failure is not the same as being depressed. To you, it may sound like I'm depressed, but that's because you haven't been briefed about my perspective on failure. Now, folks, the truth is that it takes courage to make a fool of yourself. Charlie Chaplin said that, and most people would consider him successful. You see, my friends, to be successful at anything in life, you must be good friends with failure. You must be friendly enough with failure to learn from him. And if you can learn from him, my goodness, that's always a powerful lesson. So powerful that if you would learn from every failure that you encounter in life, you would end up tremendously successful. You would almost fall into success. But even then, you wouldn't necessarily feel successful. In fact, you'd be surprised at how many successful people feel like failures. Such is the case. My message to you is this. If you've suffered through failures in the past, or maybe you're going through a torrent of failure right now, know this. Failure will make you better. Failure will improve your life. It will allow you to reach new understandings about your life, love, and business. Failure will also tell you the truth about the people around you.
Well, wait a minute. I'd have to say surviving failure does that. And, you got to learn from it.
Well, you have to experience it to learn how to survive from it, right?
Yeah.
You have to fall before you get back up.
And it's the dearest teacher.
My point is that failure is a stepping stone to success. If you look at the history of accomplished men, and this is important, look at the history of accomplished men and women. All experienced great failure before success. One of my favorite historical figures, Albert Einstein, was the only one in his class to graduate and not get offered a job in his chosen field of science.
And he flunked math in the early years.
So he took a job at a local post office, right? That's right. Albert Einstein, perhaps the greatest scientist the world has seen, couldn't get a job as a scientist when he graduated from school. His classmates must have laughed at him, the same way my classmates laughed at me when it took me a decade to get a law license. Einstein's wife was disappointed in him because he was broke after he graduated. She wanted a divorce, but he couldn't even afford that. But at that post office, Albert Einstein got busy. He got busy swallowing his pride. And while working there, he wrote the greatest scientific theory to hit the modern world ever. That would be the theory of relativity. That's the theory that allows you to use GPS to drive your car right now. And he said it came to him in a dream. Albert Einstein won the Nobel Peace Prize for writing those ideas down. And he gave the prize money to his wife so that she can get the divorce that she wanted. Or how about the great man, Abraham Lincoln? One of the greatest known failures in American history. I'm sure you've heard all of his failures on a list. It's been published everywhere. Honest Abe failed in business at age 21. He was defeated in a legislative race at age 22. He failed again in business at age 24. He had to overcome the death of his sweetheart at age 26. He had a nervous breakdown at age 27. He lost the congressional race at age 34. He lost another congressional race at age 36. He lost the senatorial race at age 45. He failed in an effort to become vice president at age 47. And then he lost another senatorial race at age 47 later on. The only thing that people remember, though, is him becoming president at age 52. But, he had to have a lot of pain and battle scars from the previous races in order to get there. What really made the difference in the end was that he kept taking risk. He was willing to fail. How about Dr. Seuss? Probably the greatest children's book writer that ever lived.
Right from Springfield, Mass.
The guy from Massachusetts had to come with that one. And I'm sidestepping the racial issues in some of his older books in this discussion because his organization has been really good at removing that stuff from the public square. But Dr. Seuss's first book was rejected 27 times. His friends must have laughed at him behind his back. But imagine if Dr. Seuss hadn't tried to get published a 28th time. Then you wouldn't even know about green eggs and ham. And to you older folks, don't tell me about your old age. Somebody named Mac. Don't tell me you're too old to take a risk and possibly fail. Colonel Sanders was 65 when he started KFC with a Social Security check. He received $105 a month back then, a little bit less than what Dr. Mac does.
Yeah, just about.
Hey, listen, I don't recommend podcasts much, but if you really want to learn about failure, you should listen to this podcast. It's called How I Built This. It's by a person named Guy Raz. It's got a huge audience, so they aren't worried about competition from me. And this is a guy who goes around interviewing billionaire types who have all built these very successful businesses. Some of them have built 2 or 3. And let me tell you, they ain't talking about all the Ferraris they bought on this podcast. They're talking about all the times they almost went bankrupt. There's an episode about Vice News. Vice is like $1 billion corporation now, but one of the founders was a recovering heroin addict when he started out. His mother cried for him every day. Why? Because she thought he was turning out to be a failure. People who are successful know failure. They aren't scared of failure, and that translates into they aren't too afraid to make a mistake. You can't fear failure, my friends. Let me change that. You can fear failure, but you can't let fear provide your direction away from what you really want to do. You've got to take the opportunity to learn from failure, or else success will be afraid of you. Now, let me get back to business. We do have a guest host in the studio with us, and I cannot fail to do my job and introduce him to you guys. So let me start by saying that if you live in or around Hartford, Connecticut, you may have seen a mural in downtown Hartford depicting a man named Nipsey Hussle. He's a rapper, an old rapper. Nipsey Hussle was a famous rapper from California who was killed in the streets by a hater in March of 2019 at the young age of 33. But he was more than a rapper. To many of his millions of fans, he was a symbol of what every black man could be, a positive role model in his community, a businessman, an investor, and a defender of justice for black people and whites. So this mural was not only timely to commemorate the death of Nipsey Hussle, but it's also very aesthetically beautiful. And our guest host is the one who created it. So I'd like to introduce Corey Payne. He's an artist, and he will be guest hosting on the show today. Hey, Corey, welcome to the broadcast.
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Really quickly, what made you do that mural?
That mural, I just wanted to really just like represent Nipsey and like everything he stood for. Like I feel like his message and everything he was about was more important even to me than his music. And I just felt like it would be something to carry on his legacy and his spirit that is like a positive influence on the whole rest of the community.
And really quickly, you're from a little bit about your background. You say you're 33, I believe.
Yeah, I'm 33.
And you're a working artist, which is not something not many people get to do, is live their dream and make money doing it. So you're a working artist. And where are you from?
I grew up in Weathersfield, but I'm from around Hartford. Like,
all right.
I'm always around here. So yeah.
So you're proud of Hartford,
Yeah,
one of the few
definitely.
people. So we're gonna come back and have a discussion with Corey. He's gonna join us on a few things, maybe talk a little bit about failure. But first, I have to get to the official show introduction. Get it out of the way. Welcome to Saturday, my friends, the very next day of your life. This is the Jamal Show, the place to get intelligent, live and on your favorite podcasting network. They used to call me Congressman George Santos, but my current name is Jamal. I am an information junkie from Harlem, and I'm passing the fruits of my illness on to you. Then you can pass it on to your loved ones, and at the end, everyone will be a little bit smarter, and also single for life. As for me, I'm your listener guide, mostly along for the ride, coming straight through the Hartford studios of WKND, and I'm doing that live. So if I fail at something, you're going to hear it. Time to say hello to my folks in the station. What's up to the Archbishop? He's the producer, so when you call, you'll be talking to him. And don't say anything out of pocket because God is standing right behind him. Yeah. Hello to my co-host and good friend, Dr. Alfonso Mack, who does not have a cigar at this time.
And don't draw Jamal. Don't
I can't draw.
You want to maintain your profession.
We are also blessed to have some new blood in the studio, artist Corey Payne, who mistakenly thought I had a good reputation, so he showed up. Thank you for that, Mr. Payne. I look forward to your continued presence. Tell your mom I said hi. Tell your mom I said hi. I hope she's listening. So moving on, it's been like 2 weeks since you last heard my voice. The last time I was on the air, the theme was redemption. It was great and informative. It was a broadcast where we talked a lot about commutations with attorney Alex Talbes. That episode is up on the podcast universe, and it refuses to go back to the country it came from. So please do check it out. Today I'm talking about failure. And if you can't tell by this broadcast, I'm an expert. You may not think that, but this radio station sure does. That's why my words don't represent the views of this station. They would prefer me to be on a movie set with Alec Baldwin, for the truth. Don't harass the station over what I say, people. They agree with you. But since I'm courageous, you can send me all of your hate mail. I'm eager to read it. Here, let me spell my name for you. It is Dr. M-A-C-K. Send your hate mail to the station under that name, and it will go directly to me. Yep. All right? Yep. Okay, folks, let me not fail to give you a break and play you some great indie music. When we come back, we will be thinking out loud with artist Corey Payne. For music today, we begin with a guy named Trouble the Chief. I really like this guy. He's from Harlem, or he might be from the Bronx. He'll call me and let me know. The song is called Troubled Path. Play that for me right quick. All right. Everything's going well. All right, so we're doing more talking between all of us. Did you like that?
Yeah,
I hope you did. You need some water?
Oh no, I'm good.
I need some.
A lot of pressure. Christmas never came. Praying for some better days, but they stay the same. How I'm gonna ease the pain. Only 10 years old alone with a broken soul. Of course I wanted more, but got beat with extension cords. It only made me angry. Thought I wasn't tough, so I went outside and started beating walls and buffed up. That's something to prove. Plus nothing to lose. Shadow boxing, talking to myself while walking to school. Every thought running through my mind was bottling the rule. 3 F's before 16, but I wasn't a fool. Product of the ghetto, word to me. I wish wasn't cool, but it made a beast of a man with plenty of tools. So much frustration. They said Jesus coming back. Well, I'm done waiting. If I wanted him, gonna take it. Calisthenics
is banning African American questions.
Because I needed this paper.
African American studies
All I
questions.
see is the fake up.
Banning them, because that's critical race theory. So critical race theory is whatever makes white children feel uncomfortable, and which is funny to make a law for that, right? Sorry. All right. So I'm going to start off, and you want to give me that failure subject on marriage that you told me about yesterday? I was hoping we could each give one story on failure that we learned from. I told you about it, okay? I'm going to let him start, and I'll ask you second.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Now, we always run out of time, so sometimes I cut the song short. All right. That's right, my commercial. You know, you really have to believe in what you're doing in life in order to better get through it. That's really the message of this show. That's what this show is all about. And we hope you believe in the message as much as we do, which is why we're hoping that you'll take this opportunity to support us through coffee.com. That's ko-fi.com/The Jamal Show. Please join us there. Consider buying us a coffee. We need the caffeine to keep this show running and to keep telling the truth, quite honestly. So why don't you join us, and we'll give you a nice shout out on the next broadcast. Join us at coffee.com. That's ko-fi.com/The Jamal Show. We'd really appreciate any support you can give us. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, that works. I'm back again when you didn't expect it, like Will Smith. That song was Troubled Path by my new friend Trouble the Chief out of New York City. I need to learn how to talk. He has a new album, and you can check Trouble the Chief online wherever you stream your music. I would suggest that you try to support independent artists. Now, moving on, the subject is failure, and I think it's about time that somebody volunteer a personal story. So we are opening our lines to callers who may be brave enough to share a personal story of failure with us on the air. Our number here is 860-218-2173. 860, I know, right? 860-218-2173. I don't call in much because I'm already here. If you want to call in, give us a brief summary of how you failed in the past, and then tell us what you learned from the experience. You get extra points if the story is funny or embarrassing. All right, extra points for you, which you can't use at Walmart. Since we have no calls currently, I guess it's time to volunteer Dr. Mack to tell us a story of failure. What have you got for us? Have you ever failed, Dr. Mack, and why would you do something like that if you did? Give me a failure story and what you learned from it, and you get extra points if it's funny or embarrassing.
No, funny or embarrassing?
There you go.
Oh, man.
Shoot.
Oh, wow. Well, I see. Does that include last night?
No, don't tell people about that. People aren't supposed to know about that, man.
No,
You
sorry,
promised me.
I'm sorry,
You promised
I'm
me.
sorry.
All right.
No, well, I'd say Well, one that's very common to a lot of people. How about marriage?
I got one of those.
Yeah. They say that every man should be married at least once.
Yeah, right.
Right. So so I got one of them.
And so, would you say it was your fault? Did you learn anything from it?
Yeah, not do it again.
Yeah, right. See, I hear that from so many men.
I mean, it's like the pot is hot. Don't touch that pot. And you go up there and yeah. Didn't I tell you the pot was hot?
But you treasured the experience, right?
Say what?
You treasure. Dude, you gained from the experience.
Yeah,
well, if you had been married before, you wouldn't have a son probably, and you wouldn't,
Yeah.
There are those side things that come along with marriage that are good.
Yeah. You mean alimony?
Oh yeah, that's right. Back in the days, they had alimony.
Yeah.
These days, they call it maintenance.
Oh, is that what it's called?
No, that's what they call it.
They're in your pocket.
It's still a check. It still comes in the form of a check.
Out of your pocket, So so I'm sure there's somebody in there like to give us a expression on the joys
of marriage. Well, I don't think anyone here is married except the bishop, and you have to be a bishop to stay married these days. How about you, Corey? I can tell you don't fail with art. But you must have made some mistakes on your way. Oh, yeah, you must have made some mistakes on the way to notoriety, right?
Yeah, I feel like just my whole life as an artist is all about like just learning from your mistakes and like little failures that add up, So like I can think of like one specific example, like when I first started painting murals, one of the first walls I ever painted, I did like a whole portrait and everything. It was my first time, and I was really proud of it. And then when I showed the people that like were running the project, they just didn't like it, and they're like, yeah, this got to come down.
Oh, right. So the thing about art is that you have to deal with people don't like it.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, I was proud just being able to accomplish it, and like, but I like to take the challenges of like whatever the failure might be, and for them not liking it, just try to like take that and come up with something creative and find my way to like accept that challenge. And
that's interesting. I'm going to go off script a little bit because now that I remember you're an artist. There was a new artwork unveiled for Martin Luther King. I believe where was it? Was it in Virginia?
Hands, right?
Yeah. Okay, the arms. I'm glad you saw that. Because the backlash on that has been interesting. I'd love to get your feedback on that. I saw the artist, he's a black artist on CNN, and he was saying, once you put it out there, you can't tell people how to perceive it. But, there's this talk that if you look at it from a certain side, it looks like a male genitalia. What's your take on that? Do you like it, first of all?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, I think the idea is cool. Like, just like, I think he called it the embrace.
The embrace,
like
right.
And it's like just the hands embracing, or like the arms. Yeah. So like, I feel like it's like the message is cool. It's like it's not putting like any specific person to it. It's about the embrace of anybody that sees it.
Well, he says he wanted to make it about the relationship. So many things about Martin Luther King, like the Martin Luther King monument in DC. It's like him standing with his arms crossed. All the monuments to him have him in it, but this artist wanted to focus on the love between them, because when you're married to such a strong woman, that really helps you. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you have a girlfriend that helps you.
Yeah.
How many times have you presented your work in front of people? I mean, you had to get a start. I mean, you just don't. I don't know. I don't know. Hit the ground running.
Hold on, I'm gonna let him think about that. We have actually a caller in,
right,
hopefully to talk about failure. We have Kyle on the line. Kyle, are you there? Oh, Rinaldi, how you doing, man? I actually know who you are. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your story of failure and what you learned from it? You get extra points if it's funny or embarrassing.
All right. Well, it's more than embarrassing. There's nothing funny about it. But okay. First of all, let me just give a brief understanding of my view on failure. First of all, failure is only when you quit and give up, okay? Because it's very subjective. The story I'm going to tell has nothing to do with my actual mistake because it had to do with somebody else's opinion. But I was in a relationship for like 7 years. I had a daughter with this female, and I didn't know a lot about relationships. I mean, I wasn't really the coolest guy in the world. So when I got her, I was so excited to have her that I wasn't paying attention to the warning signs. And so she would travel to New York all the time, and she would go on trips. And I'm just thinking, hey, I mean, let her do her thing. I'm doing my thing. I'm working. I'm selling real estate. Everything's going great. What happened was I ended up with a daughter and a son, but actually I only had a daughter. So she left, went overseas, came back, and she was pregnant. But I'm thinking, I wasn't really doing the math. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm having another kid. Come to find out, this girl was setting me up for a child support scenario. She gave the child my name, okay? So I would think that he was my son. Then she left me destitute. Like I left the house one day, came home, and the doors were locked. You know what I'm saying? And she was sitting up in the window, and as I'm banging on the door, she's calling the police like I'm a dangerous man. So next thing you know, the police come, they escort me off. My kids are crying and screaming, and I'm still not understanding. It wasn't until my dad told me that kid doesn't look anything like anybody in the family that I went and got a paternity test and found out that it wasn't mine. So and what I learned from that was that you have to pay attention to your surroundings at all times. You can't take anybody for granted. There's no magical formula for love or relationships. You have to learn from every single incident that happens to you.
That's called situational awareness.
And say, okay, well, that was my last relationship. I'll never do that again. You know, and I learned that I have to pay closer attention and I have to be more steady in myself. That was what I learned. But overall, people who consider things that didn't go their way as failures sometimes start to self-sabotage because they don't think that they're ever going to be able to do anything. But in actuality, it's just a learning experience and lets you give up on whatever your dream is or whatever your mission is. Once you give up, that's when you failed. So you, Jamal, I would never say that you failed. Because some downs and things didn't go the way you thought they should have gone. But look at you now. If you had quit, you would have failed. We wouldn't be talking right now. Your success through those ups and downs is actually a success for me because now I'm on the air telling a story and I'm talking to who knows how many people. So don't get yourself all wrapped up in this didn't work out this way or that didn't work out that way because a lot of times it's not you, it's other people and forces that you can't control. And when you can't control those forces, you can't be a failure.
Okay, so I didn't say this earlier, but Ronaldo is on my payroll. You'll be getting your check next week, as promised. Ronaldo, thank you very much. You are way more powerful. I'm gonna go ahead and let you go because I don't think I can follow it up with anything else except going on. Thanks a lot, Ronaldo. I did not expect that, and I appreciate your kind words. But there's another fellow I want to mention that is failing badly right now, and his name is Florida. Actually, his name is Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida and self-proclaimed woke warrior. Many of you have heard of his grandiose Trump-style politics with him attacking Disney and what he calls critical race theory. Critical race theory is defined as anything that can make white kids feel bad in Florida, which is strange because you never can control how somebody feels, right? So now DeSantis is blocking an advanced placement class that teaches African-American studies. He says the content is not historically accurate. Is he not failing the students of Florida, Mac? Like he says he's saving their feelings, right? And I would say that if you're a student in Florida and you come out and you go to college, maybe in Ohio or somewhere else, and everyone knows things you don't know because you weren't allowed to be taught that, you're the one who looks like an idiot.
Yeah, I agree. I wish we had a little bit more time. I'll tell you the experience I had with African studies. Very briefly, I went to a graduation at a local college up here in Western Massachusetts. And to my surprise, 75% of the graduates got degrees in African studies. I was stunned. I said, what? What are you going? I still don't know to this day what they're going to do with a degree in African studies until I learned that the point of was not so much. Well, it gave them a chance to grow up and have a discipline and get a degree, and then they went off and did what they wanted to do with daddy's money.
Now, for those who don't remember, Mac is actually one of the kids that had to be escorted to school during the times of segregation.
Yeah.
He was escorted to school by law enforcement.
Yeah.
By people who didn't want him to go to school.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, well, when you're a 6-7-year-old chump, and and the state trooper says, stay next to me, and I'll get you through this line of Triple K, and they escorted me for about 6 weeks for the first in the first grade. You don't fear too much anymore, because you've seen it.
Well, I do have this special situation today where I do have an outspoken white man in the studio. So I hope you don't mind me asking, have you ever been in school, Corey, and felt a low self-esteem as a result of history?
No, I mean, I feel like with this whole thing too, like I feel like when you try to put a blanket over something or like hide history, it's like it's all gonna come back through in some kind of way. So
Right.
like I feel like when you have things out in the open, that's how you learn from it. So like
Right.
when you try to take that away, that's how history repeats itself. So to me, it's like it's better to have everything out in the open, and everybody should know all that and be able to move on from it.
And move on from there.
Yeah.
When I was in law school, I learned that there are banned books. There are books that have been banned that the FBI tracks when people pick up. One is called the Anarchist Cookbook. It's basically a book on how to make bombs and stuff from hand. There's a couple of them. And I noticed a long time ago that, burning book. I read this book called Fahrenheit 451. Yeah. Everyone should have read it.
Everybody
right?
has read
and
that.
It's been the theme of the book. The theme of the book is this: when you burn books, people look for them more, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you say, I heard about the Anarchist Cookbook when I was like in college years ago, and of course I looked for it. I was like, I can't read. Where can I find this? You know what I'm saying? And see, that's generally what people do. So when they actually started burning books and banning books in Florida, I was like, didn't they read Fahrenheit 451? Like, don't you know that when you say you can't have this, that's the one reason why drugs exploded back in the 70s when I was a kid. People were like, don't smoke weed. They were like, oh, really? Don't? You know what I'm saying? So when you tell people not to look for something, that's when they look for it the most. And for all, this is a result of all the parents that were home during COVID, who never made it to a PTA meeting, who were like, hey, now that I'm stuck home, it'd be nice to get out and make it to a PTA meeting. Let me pay attention to what my kids are studying. And for the first time, they realized that kids are learning about the civil rights movement. And they're like, oh my God, because just because of COVID, they paid attention, right? All these times they didn't pay attention. Now they want to be involved but they don't want to be teachers though.
Yeah, but man, how is that reflected in art? I mean, do you see this in art in terms of what's in style and what's not in style? Or, I mean, do you have any feel for that in art in your field?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like people kind of like it's especially with all like the like things going on in the news and like those kind of things. Like people focus on those things or try to like turn it into like a lot of times it happens to me. Like when I paint, like people will have a problem with me painting something because I'm like a white dude or something. And
oh, really?
It's like it'll be like I'm not even
get that
thinking about that kind of thing. But then like I've been like like for murals and stuff in the city, like they'll take me off the project because they're afraid to have me do it because like, oh, we can have another white dude paint this or something.
It's crazy. When I was in college, I first saw this. You see white guys wearing dreadlocks, and you see these people, right? I don't know where these people come from. They're like, you can't wear this. Yeah. This culture belongs to me. Like, I never understood that. The whole idea about culture is you're supposed to be pleased when people emulate it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, people, if you've come to the Hartford Civic Center and you look over at the skate park, I mean, you've seen Corey's work. The man is gifted. I'll tell you that straight up. All right. I mean, you got it, and. And I don't care whether you're black or white or anything like that. You have an eye for people, like you're truly gifted.
Man. And that's what I like to focus on. It's more about just like the people and like the spirit of somebody and like the message and what they stand for and all that kind of stuff more than anything else. So like to me, all the other stuff is like all put aside. Like you don't even have to know what I look like to know. Like I want the art to speak for itself,
Corey, who did the mural of the 4 women down in right?
Oh yeah, down by the highway.
Who
Her name's Michaela. She's from East Hartford, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You know her, you're a friend of hers?
Yeah,
I like her to come on. So after we do this, we're gonna get in touch with her.
Yeah, okay. And then there's another one on is it Pearl Street? On the side of a building. Did you do that one?
The big tall one with the girl watering flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's me. That's
you?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Get out.
Yeah, that was like a passion project for me. Like I've always wanted to do that wall and that thing. And like that one was more just me getting to do my thing where I didn't have to like go through any kind of like stuff through the city of what to paint or who they wanted me to do. So I just painted. That's my girlfriend, and I painted her, like surprised her with it.
You did it's very, very good. Now the other one that I know of is on the what do you call it? The train trestle on the other side of Bushnell Park on
going along the highway there.
Well, you know where the bus to New Britain makes that left hand turn to go up and get up. You know, there's a mural there
right across, like near
you got the
station.
yes,
like
yes, sir.
Yeah, I did that one too.
Get out.
Yeah.
You're a pretty busy guy. You're a pretty busy guy, and you enjoy what you do. What would you say to a young man that wants to be an artist?
I mean, I would say like just always be true to yourself. The most important thing, like, because I feel like a lot of people get all caught up in like anything without like this kind of stuff of what like even their art, like what they expect people to see or what they think people would like. And when you make stuff like that, then it's never like completely always like honest and true for yourself. And I feel like if you just do more things that what you're focused on, don't worry about what other people think, then just like people will catch on.
A friend of mine that's going to come on in the next segment to talk about books, he told me something really interesting a few weeks ago. He said you can always tell an artist that cares about Black people because of how they paint the Black face. Like people that don't have an understanding for Black culture, they just kind of make them blank faces that are Black, but you can see wrinkles and you can see
they make them blank.
Yeah, they make them blank in character. But I can see that you spent time looking at someone's face and saying, this is the portrayal of Nipsey Hussle. You know what I'm saying? I look at that every time I pass by, and it's very inspirational. And I like where you put it.
I mean, look at that face. Look at his face. I mean,
hey, maybe we can commission something.
So gotta let that one go.
So you've got a lot. I saw you had newspaper articles about that. You must have gotten a lot of feedback and followers off of that.
Definitely, yeah. It went over way bigger than I expected. Like I just thought I wanted to do something cool for like my friends and people just in the community to have something to like respect and honor him. And it went over way bigger than I thought and reached a lot more people than I could have ever imagined. You know?
Did you ever get any white people asking you why you would paint Nipsey Hussle?
Yeah, people ask me.
Really?
That. People like there's even like it doesn't either white people or Black people.
Really, Black people
that,
too.
You know,
okay,
like,
all right. Let me not be racist.
Like, why would you paint that? Like, what do you know about that or something? You know,
but really?
Like, yeah. Like,
what do you know about that?
yeah.
That must be a little bit offensive. A little bit.
It's like
because if you know something, you know it, right? There's not information that's just for white people.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like a baited question.
Yeah, it's not even like I don't really care what people think. It's just like to me on a personal level, it's like those people they don't even know me and like
they're trying to bait you.
You know, yeah. So like it's like yeah, you can't even like fall into that trap, you know. But
like I have people, I guess because of the way I talk in my education, I've had Black people tell me I'm too white. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? To talk English and to, you know what I'm saying, to want to read Mark Twain or whatever, to be into whatever you want to be into. You know, the worst thing you could do is set up expectations for what you expect of people, you know?
Exactly. I feel like my whole life, I've always felt like there's I don't like rules. That's why I never like school. Like, I don't like things that's like set in a certain way that like you tell me what to do, you know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like when it's like that and you limit like, oh, this is like how this person should act or what they should like I just don't like rules. I like to have everybody just be open to be themselves.
This is a weird time for this, but I want to make sure I get this out and I don't forget it. If people want to view your art online, where should they go?
So I have a lot of my new stuff on my Instagram page. So it's just my name, just Corey Payne Art. Payne is P-A-N-E. And then my website, just CoreyPayne.com. Okay,
CoreyPayne.com. And you also have contact information on that website.
Yeah.
So let's move on to another failure. Something you might have.
Wait a minute, Corey. So in high school, they didn't teach you how to do this? This is just coming from you? I mean, people.
You didn't go to high school?
If you haven't seen this man's work, it is truly gifted. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I did go to art school at UHart.
You went to UHart? Okay, okay.
I got I was lucky. I got like a pretty good scholarship and everything. So just kind of went through there and went through the whole process. But to me, like I've always done art my whole life, and it was weird going to school because they try to tell you like the same kind of things, like certain ways to do things, and like I feel like a lot of the people in the class would always be doing what the teacher does.
So moving on to another failure, Solomon Pena is a Republican in New Mexico. He ran for a state seat in 2022, the midterm election. He lost by over 50 points. And then, like Trump, he claimed that the election was rigged. No doubt he was supported by who? Donald Trump. But he has recently been arrested for taking shots at the houses of Democratic leaders. Mac, did you hear about this? The guy that lost the election in New Mexico.
In New Mexico.
And he hired people
to go out and hit and hit his opponent.
Take shots at their houses.
Yeah.
He's doing Republican Party drive-by shootings, basically. Is this a surprise to you guys, or has politics become more violent normally? Is this something that you expected, Mac?
I don't know. You could say it's a generational thing, or
you grew up through worse.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I still think that, in my opinion, that there are people who need psychological help. Okay, and for whatever reason and for whatever their needs are, and it's coming out to being, and this stuff is no longer being hidden. I mean, this has been going on. I mean, look, they didn't hang black people because the guy was sane. I mean, the guy who did it, he wasn't sane doing that. He was insane.
Right.
But now, this stuff is coming out. All right. And we see what has been hidden in the past before. What you got, Bishop?
Well, we got Jimmy coming on in a minute, so I want to go into a story about my own failure. It was a little embarrassing. This was several years ago. I had a good job at JP Morgan in Manhattan. I was on something called the compliance team. But there was a recruiter trying to lure me to work for the Department of Justice. And let me tell you, throughout law school, I was always told that the Department of Justice was the absolute best place that a lawyer could end up working. Except the DOJ didn't want to hire me as a lawyer. They wanted to hire me as a senior paralegal in the antitrust division. That's the division that goes after huge companies that act like monopolies. This was, of course, before Merrick Garland was Attorney General. Now, a paralegal position was under my pay grade at the time, but I still wanted to work at the DOJ. I figured that I'd earn my way to the top, so to speak. Now I know that was delusional thinking. But still, I left a great job with perks that I liked at JP Morgan to go to the Department of Justice. I did so because I thought I would love working at the DOJ. But you know what? I hated working there. I found out quickly that if you're not an attorney, the Department of Justice is just another government job where they treat you like a government worker. Literally, I felt like I was at the U.S. Postal Service, excuse me. Not that there's anything wrong with working for the post office. It just wasn't for me. I hated it at the DOJ, and I regretted leaving my job at JP Morgan. The DOJ didn't try to train me. I felt like I was set up to fail. The people at the DOJ must have felt my unhappiness because one day they just fired me out of the blue, no warning. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is when they fired me, they told me that Homeland Security had to escort me out. So I didn't want investigators going through my stuff. I went to erase my computer, and while I was erasing my computer, my boss came in and told me that Homeland Security was on the way. I was like, oh, hell no. They wanted me to wait there in my office until Homeland Security arrived to escort me from the office right in front of my coworkers. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. No way was I going to do a perp walk. So I made a dash for the elevator. I figured they can't escort me out if I've already left, right? When I got to the elevator, Homeland Security was already there. And I avoided the embarrassing perp walk by meeting them at the elevator. But I always think about how bad that day could have been if my boss didn't mention to me that Homeland Security was coming. Anyway, I always tell people who have been fired that they may feel down about it. They may feel like it's the end of the world or embarrassing. But the truth is, you haven't really been fired until Homeland Security is sent to escort you from your office and to the sidewalk outside. Now that is called a termination, my friends. Anyway, time for a break with some really great independent music, of course. And after that, we're going to talk to my good friend Jimmy a bit. He's on the line already. He's going to do his bi-weekly book review, and I hear he's got a good book for us to read. Hopefully, our new friend and guest host, Corey Payne, will stay with us and as well and join in. All right. So stay with us. And until then, please enjoy the music. This is Quest for Five Mics by Seeds of Labor. I need water. I'm out to fry. You good with water?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Water, Matt?
I'm about to get up to a little boy's room. Yeah, let me go do that.
best rhythms. I'll get nastier than chitlins. I can still chill and never put in front of Christians. I get this my life, we will pick a transitions. Rich sticks, my man, pots and pans, those suspicions. I wouldn't change positions. The richest man alive if he had 100 wives and the freshest car to drive. And I'm not the one to talk job. But we like 3 blind mics on the course for 5 mics on the mission from God. The very essence, the 3 queens in the pot. I'm serving hard lessons. I'm not what I'm suggesting if you will the math and skill. Attached to a being, you can hide your head and still be disagreeing. Everything's like the seasoning. Serving like a chef, then I sign my signature. Lipstick is next. I guess they need the image for my quest. It's plus 25, the youth is all around. Bass in the track, the brings forth the rap. Plus 25, the youth is all around. Bass in the track, the brings forth the rap. Plus 25, the youth is all around. Bass in the track, the brings forth the rap. Plus 25, the youth is all around. Bass in the track, the brings forth the rap. Without the can, rap was played while we did handstands. Backspins and windmills and never paid the bills. Strictly recreation, but after a duration of commercial elevation, lyrical degradation. Black MCs are running all around the nations. Analyze the current techniques that they're facing. One sounds just like the next, it's amazing. Just hours, yeah, it's all the waste. I'm trying to get to the studio space. Yeah, always follow trends.
All right, so this is one of my friends. He's a real funny guy. He's a big reader, so he suggests a book that he spends the time talks about it, and then he closes a little rant. We have a little fun, you know. My old smoking buddy from college. We also play like commercials, like if you have a charity you're involved with or something like that, we have to support that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm open. Call me. You know, it's cool. Or if you have any events coming up or a new unveiling of art, we need material, you know, that the world people's minds and inspires people. I want to inspire people. And that's all I got.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They be the first to capstone with the next one, but the image is shot. They need to find some direction. Everybody wants to make a hip hop connection, but their reason for doing rap, they seem to be forgetting. This leads me to believe that there's room to breathe for the seeds of my
I was telling him it's probably hard to fit everything into an hour. You know?
Yeah, it is. I used to every week, but then I didn't have a life. Right? Like every weekend was this, and I couldn't go. You have to live life to talk about it, man. So I feel it's better with we're thinking about more than 2 hours because we get a lot of politicians out there doing stuff. I was doing this by myself 5 years ago, and I didn't think anything. So it just goes to show you, put yourself out there, create a story. I'm sorry that people come to me about that. I think you're a fantastic artist, and I don't care what you are, man. You're great. I'm a fan of yours. So this last segment can take about 15 minutes, but it's fun, laid back. Ask questions if something intrigues you. Just after the guy finishes talking, he has to switch it so we can hear us. So wait till the sentence is done if you want to ask a question. Back!
That keeps us all alive. Bass in the track that brings forth the rap.
All right. Hello again, my friends. Life is for the living, not the dead, here at the Jamal Show, the place to get intelligent. That last piece of music you heard was called Quest for 5 Mics. That song is by a golden age hip-hop group called Seeds of Labor, and you can find them everywhere you stream your music, I promise. Now, this is our last segment, so you know what that means. It's the running out of time segment. But whenever we are running out of time, that is the best time to listen to a very, very close friend of mine. We've known each other about 25 years. In fact, this guy and I go way back to Syracuse University, where we met as students, and we became tight. His name is Jimmy. Now, some of you who listen to the show, you know Jimmy, because like I said, you listen to the show, right? But I got a school artist, Corey Payne, here right now because he hasn't been here before. So I got to school him on who Jimmy is because Corey is new here, like I just said. Jimmy is a special kind of person. If you know what I mean, he's that kind of guy you never can forget, even if you want to. And he reads a lot of books. You get that? Jimmy loves books. Sometimes, every now and then, Jimmy tells his friends about the books he reads, and damn it, he makes us want to read those books too. So I thought I'd do us all a favor and bring my old friend Jimmy to the Jamal Show audience to help make us all more intelligent. My friends, this is a very special segment. I like to call it Books with Jimmy. Yo, Jimmy, you like that?
Jimmy.
You there?
Yeah,
I can hear you, brother. And I have one big question for you. I know you were up at like 6 a.m. this morning just thinking. What have you got for us today, my brother?
All right. The book I have today is Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff. It is the best of the Donald Trump books. There's been a whole bunch of books written about Donald Trump. This is the best one. And the reason I picked Fire and Fury is because today's topic was failure. And
there's
Donald
no greater
Trump
failure, right?
is basically, in my view, white supremacy's answer to Donald Trump. To Barack Obama, right? Barack Obama became president. White supremacy gave us Donald Trump in response. And Donald Trump's mission was to take what Barack Obama had unleashed and put it back in the box, to take us back, right? Barack Obama gave us progress. Donald Trump wanted to rewind the progress, and he failed. It was a ginormous failure. If you take a look at what Donald Trump has represented, white supremacy's attempt to roll America back into the pre-Obama days when Black people didn't have as many rights and things weren't the way they are, it's been a colossal failure overall. And that is the book, Fire and Fury. You've heard it before. You've seen, I'm sure you've seen little excerpts of it and everything. And a lot of people know some of the different things that went on during the Trump administration. But this guy, Michael Wolff, even though he didn't have as much access as Bob Woodward in Bob Woodward's books, I think Michael Wolff's writing style is better. And it's a really good read.
Well, let me ask you a question. It's funny that you mentioned, I like how you put that. You said Donald Trump's job was to take what Barack Obama had unleashed and put it back in the box. It's funny because we mentioned today Mr. DeSantis, Governor DeSantis in Florida. You know, that's almost exactly the same playbook that he's playing from, right? Let me ban African-American studies because it's not historically, accurate. What do you think about that, Jim?
Well, if you go back, it actually looks like the old school Jim Crow laws. It will age just as badly. Ron DeSantis is going to regret having done this 15, 20, 30 years from now, because it'll look just like saying Black people can't use this drinking fountain versus that one. Sarah Huckabee Sanders has done the same thing in Arkansas, and somehow, where was it that DeSantis banned AP African American Studies, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
Right or no?
No, you're correct. He banned and AP means that it's college level courses, which is really interesting because he was saying that he was protecting the kids, right? But AP is college level. So why is he banning college level courses from people who are approved to take them? Critical race theory is a college level anyway, right? So he's expanding this. This is the guy that went after Disney. Whenever there's low-hanging fruit, some kind of culture war to be had, DeSantis is following this playbook. Don't you think he's doing the same thing Trump did?
Yep, and it's for the same reason. They're all attempting to grab this thing that's gaining momentum, which is younger people, Black and brown and white, are joining together. You saw it in what happened after George Floyd, and that's why that particular thing scared people like DeSantis, people like Trump, people like a lot of conservative right-wing Republicans. It scared them so much because they're seeing not just young Black people, not just young brown people, but young white people working together, and they're working very, very hard to turn this back. And so it starts to be buffoonery, really. It looks really, really silly. But that's the attempt. And in my view, although you have small, certain things have changed in their favor, overall, it's been a giant failure. It is failure to the nth degree.
It's funny. You mentioned young whites who are progressive, and I think I know one. I might have met one today, in fact. And it's really interesting because he feels the same way. You're so right about that. But I wanted to get some of his feedback on this. What do you think about some of the violence that's happening in politics these days? Do you even pay attention to politics?
Not to put you on the spot,
Corey Payne. And just to mention, you are being recorded. But I'm really curious as to what your take is on this because, to be honest with you, when I saw that picture,
your generation, what do you think?
When I saw that picture, I would have never guessed a white man drew it.
Right.
And that teaches me something, right? What do you think about all this?
Definitely. I mean, I try to just like I was saying, like I think just looking at people for like who they are is like an important thing. So when you like bring people together and everyone's like can work together and put all like this kind of stuff behind, like not be able to move forward together is like the most important thing. So yeah, I think that these kind of things like in politics and stuff today, like I don't pay attention to a lot of like the too specific details of it, but I know I get the gist of like what is like thrown at me. So I think those things are all like placed to try to like separate people and like.
Well, I gotta imagine that you get thrown into the middle of this a lot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because you're a white guy practicing, painting black people, and you have the one side like, why would you paint black people? You have George W. Bush you could paint, and Reagan and whatever, and you have the other side like, he's trying to outpaint our brothers. all these brothers out here not working because they're artists, and he's taking all the jobs. When it's really about talent. Now, obviously, you're extraordinary because not many people can get a city to pay for them to do art. You know what I'm saying?
It's like not everybody's like that. So you know, like there's people that you can work with, and then there's other people that a lot of it is mostly just like haters and stuff, saying stuff to try to kind of like bring you down or separate you from your main mission. But when you just stay strong and like be able to find people that you can work together with, then you can all grow like to a bigger place,
I grew up with one famous artist. He's actually pretty famous. I want to see if you heard of him. His name is Jay De La Vega. He's from New York City, Spanish Harlem. I grew up with his paint. He used to draw on garbage cans, like little murals on garbage cans, and now he has this big art thing, this art dealership down in the Village or whatever. He's doing great. He used to walk down a block with his big afro on. He was really out of. You've heard of him, though.
I feel like I've heard of the name before, but I don't know.
Maybe and then there's a guy that did Crackers Whack. Those baby. He was real famous.
Let it go.
You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm not as schooled as artist as I would like to be, but what do you call this kind of art you do? Is there a name for it, like this mural stuff?
I mean, like I feel like I like to just call it like mural painting,
Okay.
Like,
so you don't try to be too technical.
Nah, I mean, because like people, like a lot of people say graffiti and stuff like that, but like I don't feel like it's
it's
like,
not graffiti. You're not doing graffiti.
Yeah, there's no like real word for it. It's just making art,
All right. Well, Jimmy, are you still there? I wanted to know. I know that you see. You don't know this, but Jimmy went to art school.
Cool.
So he used to be in art too, and I was wondering, Jimmy, if you were listening and what you thought of this man's artwork. I think I sent you a picture of it before. What do you think about all this?
Really like the Nipsey Hussle piece.
Thanks,
Yeah, it's just all kind of like he's saying. It's just there's really no label for it. It's you could call it whatever. Mural painting, graffiti is just as beautiful. I've seen graffiti art that looks as beautiful. And by the way, Jamal, Jay De La Vega is from your neighborhood, yeah. But also you forgot Spawn is from your neighborhood. There's mad graffiti guys from that area. Also.
Mark Echo.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, don't sleep on that either.
So art is a great way to express. Now, Jimmy, before I let you go, I want you to give people some contact information in case people want to contact you about your fitness business. I know you do a lot of rehabilitation with people and stuff. You have an online Zoom thing going on. You want to give people some information before you have to get at the phone, and I'll talk to you later? Go ahead.
Stuff on Zoom and live as well. The Family Dances. TheFamilyDances. TheFamilyDances.com. You go to that, and we got all kinds of fitness packages for people who are just doing their New Year's resolution is I want to lose some weight, or older folks who want to increase their flexibility and their malleability. People all spectrums.
Okay, Jimmy, thank you so much. You add so much to the show, and I'll be talking to you later on today.
Have a good one, Jim.
I also want to
wedding dress real tight. TheFamilyDances.com.
Okay, so that's why he's on the show. He's a lovely character, and you will like him. I also want to thank my special guest host who donated an hour of his time to come in today. He didn't have to do it. He's an artist. He's a great artist. He's going to be doing more stuff in Hartford and other. Please give him your contact information one more time.
Oh, yeah. So it's just CoreyPayne.com or Instagram is just Corey Payne Art. Yeah.
He did the Nipsey Hussle art mural downtown Hartford. Everyone loves that. I pass by it all the time. We are very glad to have him here. Also, we're at the end of the show, so thanks for joining us today. Maybe we can do it again soon. Allow me to say thank you to all the people who support this show. DJ Alex Sanchez, Dr. Al Mack, Joe Duncan, the Archbishop, David King, Denise Wonderler, the Olympic doctor that listens to us, my son, JD Wright, and also everybody else. You guys are good people, and we pray for your continued support. But most of all, we love our listeners, all 10 of them, maybe 11 now. My friends, without the listener, we wouldn't have anybody to talk to, and that would be sad indeed. So please take care of yourselves and try to take care of someone else too. See you in 2 weeks. Good job, man.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
There was a take. You got into it.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna walk it out.
If you got some other artists, if you guys want to come together as a group, whatever, consider this a resource.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Oh, yeah. Nice to meet you guys.
This is the Jamal Show.
That's a good one. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Last one was good too.
Never in a million years did I ever expect my healthy daughter, Vienna, to fall asleep watching TV and tragically never wake up. She was only 2 years old, and this happened at our home in Holmdel, New Jersey in 2017. Her death was categorized as SUDC, sudden unexplained death in childhood.
Thank you for remembering.
Essentially, this is SIDS,
I'm telling
but
you,
in
thank you for
kids
remembering
1 to
that.
18 years old.
Because I told Denise that I'll be doing
Never
that.
heard of SUDC? Well, neither did my husband and I, and we are both physicians.
Okay,
Please visit
okay. I know I've been forgetting that.
I'm station number 3.
Okay,
To
I'm
learn
sorry.
more about
Still
our
in the
sweet
show
daughter
on,
Vienna's story.
I'm gonna send you a bunch of them
Our
today because I gotta
family's
sit home and I can't work
501c3
today because my
nonprofit,
computer's
Team
down. So I'm
Vienna
gonna send you a
for
bunch of them.
You're born in Florida. You still running the show, right?
and
Yeah,
how
yeah. I'm gonna
you
get
can
the
involved
podcast.
to help
He
uncover
records
these
it from here.
unexplained tragedies with us. As a team, I know we can get this done. Thank you so much for your support.
She did a great job on this
I'm
commercial.
Vienna's mommy, Dr. Denise Wunderler, founder of Team Vienna and co-founder of the SUDC Coalition. Thank you so much.